there are so many strategies out there. There's flipping, there's wholesaling, there's, Airbnb, chatting with somebody through DM there the other day about Airbnb and KW and like some of the numbers. And it's like,
welcome to the Golden Nuggets of Real Estate Investing, a podcast dedicated to helping you achieve financial freedom through real estate. We'll be discussing the most important lessons, or better known as the Golden Nuggets of Real Estate Investing, entrepreneurship, and personal finance with new and experienced investors to help you get into real estate investing or scale up your portfolio. So make sure to tune in. What's going on, everyone? It's Ross Nadai. I'm a real estate agent, an investor, and host of the Real Estate Golden Nuggets podcast. I have an amazing episode full of golden nuggets for you. If you like this podcast and gotten any value out of it, please share this far and wide to reach as many people as possible. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts, please leave me a 5-star review. If you're watching on YouTube, leave me a comment, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you can stay up to date on the most recent episodes. Thank you so much for your support. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Golden Nuggets of Real Estate Investing. I have my special guest tonight, Mike Paquete. Mike is an investor from Cambridge, Ontario, and he's joining me today. We're going to talk all about real estate investing, generally speaking about why he got into it and what his portfolio currently looks like. So without further ado, Mike, please go ahead and give us a little introduction about yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Russ. Truly blessed to be on this podcast with you. So I appreciate it and look forward to our conversations. But yeah, I'm live in Cambridge and I invest in Kitchener. I know we talked a little bit about it there. I think I bought my first rental property about 10 years ago, kind of get out of it for a little bit. And then 2 years ago, really started focusing back on my real estate investing journey and really trying to kind of grow my portfolio as best as I can.
Perfect. So when you mentioned you bought this 10 years ago, first of all, what did you buy and what happened? Why did you stop for 10 years? Like what changed in your life and how you got back into it?
Yeah. So, at a very young age, like I started working a 9-to-5, right? And I was living at home, saving a lot of money. And it was ultimate goal was to own my own house. So I bought my own primary residence. I think I would have been 23 years old.
Nice.
And, I kind of had that old school, grew up that old school mentality of like, you work and you pay down your mortgage. Like that was the main focus, right? So I was like making double payments, putting every last penny I could towards it to pay this thing down. But what I quickly realized is that it was the power of, real estate. I could see, the mortgage pay down, the appreciation on the house. So, then I decided like, hey, maybe I should get in, buy an investment property. So first property was just a turnkey, a single family home. It was a townhouse. Literally had nothing to do, just kind of took the keys, put a tenant in, and it sat there for 5 years, just, doing its thing. Right. But, mindset wise, I really wasn't there. After 4 years, I'm like, well, this is taking too long. Like, how do these people buy, 50 properties and I can't figure out how to buy my second?
Yeah.
And I got impatient. I wanted that, that get rich quick almost, kind of out of that property. So I ended up selling it, wanted to see that kind of big paycheck. But really I kind of just killed the goose that lays the egg, right? It just kind of all stopped there. Then about 2 years later, I just kind of started rethinking about, why did I get out of it? Like, what could I have done differently? That's when I really realized like, hey, I got to start like networking and, reaching out to other people just because I didn't know what to do, right? I didn't know what the next step was. Like, I just kind of gave up. Like I tried figuring it out on my own. And I finally figured out that that's not the way to do it in this business. Like, that network's really important. So
that's awesome. So given the fact that you bought that 10 years ago, I'm sure it appreciated quite a bit, right? So when you sold that property, you mentioned you got a big payout, right? Did you deploy that and buy like your primary residence? Is that kind of what happened? And then you kind of stopped for a couple of years, or were you deploying that money in other avenues?
Yeah, we took that as the opportunity to kind of buy our forever home. Right. So, 14 years later, we're still in that house and, we love it. I don't regret the decision. So like, yeah, like even for then, right, like just that one property alone was able to get me into, what I consider my dream home, right?
There you go.
And, we have no intentions of leaving. So that just goes to show, like you say it on your show, like you're only a couple properties away from, financial freedom.
That's right.
Right. So, really just one investment property can be super powerful.
Very lucrative. Absolutely.
Right. So, yeah. And that's kind of where eventually I kind of figured it out. And, I think maybe I just took a little longer. I think the sooner maybe, you can figure that out, the better. But it's never too late to kind of get back into it. Right? Wish you could have got into it 10 years ago, but best time to get into it is now, today.
That's right. And then talk to me a little about the mindset shift, right? Because you did mention that earlier, right? So I guess, first of all, like what changed? Usually what people have an epiphany when it's some sort of event in their life, whether it's their job they want to get rid of, or, they have a growing family or whatever it may be. Like, what was your epiphany and what is your why? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, 100%. I remember that clear as day. It was my 40th birthday. So maybe midlife crisis. I don't know if that's what it was, but yeah, I finally took some time to really sit down and reflect kind of what I've accomplished so far in my life. Was I happy with it? I just told myself, like, I felt average. So I had this thing, like, I have it in my office, up on the wall saying, you are not average. So I had this thing that I just felt like an average guy. I'm just getting up, working my 9 to 5, trading time for money. Right. And when I really started thinking about it, I was like I'm better than that. And, I want to be able to show my kids that, don't just go and get a job for the sake of money. Like, try and find your passion, regardless of what it is. And if you really enjoy what you're doing, they say that, the money's going to follow. And so I really started thinking about it. I'm like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, I really got to give this a shot, go all in, reach out to whoever I need. Like, because what happened is a few people I started following, I just see them like they're blowing up. Like they're buying 5 properties, 10 properties, 20. And then I see a video and it's like, hey, I just bought my 30th property. And I'm like, I'm doing something wrong here. Right. Like, so I finally realized, like, there's a way to do it and I don't know how to do it. So pick up that phone and start calling people, right?
Folks listening in is probably wondering, what is that? Like, how did you figure that out? What is that thing you had to do to now scale up and buy multiple properties? What was it for you? Was it the mortgage aspect that was holding you back, or was it just fear of the unknown? Like you felt you weren't, educated enough to take a step forward? What was holding you back, and how did you manage and then scale from there?
Yeah, I think it was just not knowing. And so, yeah, I'd never been to a networking event. So, I finally decided to go to an event in London, the Unria event.
Right.
I walked into that not knowing anybody. Like, I'm pretty sure I was sweating like the whole time. And the first time they took like a networking break and everybody got up, like I froze. I didn't know what to do. But really, when I just kind of thought about it, I'm like, you know what? There's other people in the room that are in the same boat as I am.
Exactly.
Everybody out here is here to network, get to know people, like collaborate. And I remember I just turned around and the first person I saw, I put my hand out. Hey, I'm Mike. How you doing? Where are you from? And then, it just, I quickly realized that the real estate community is, they're willing to help. Like, absolutely. Over the last 2 years, I don't think I've reached out to anybody, no matter what level they're at in their investing, career. They're willing to answer questions, and it's it's a very supportive community. And I think after that first event, I finally realized that you can't do it on your own.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. And then you mentioned that's a power networking, right? So that got you thinking, now, you know what, I need to make a move. And so where did you go from there, right? So you went to Unria, you started networking, and what was the next progression on your end?
I'm definitely a buy and hold investor. I'm in it for the long haul. Like I like my job. if I could quit and do real estate, would I do it? Sure, 100%.
Yeah.
But like for me, it's more of like a long term and trying to build that long term wealth. But like in the market that I invested in, like Kitchener Waterloo and Cambridge, at the time, it was becoming very difficult to cash flow with these single family homes. So yeah, the next step was like, hey, I got to have a little bit of a buffer here. If there's any maintenance issues, like I want these properties to cash flow.
Right.
And that's kind of when I stumbled on duplex conversions. I like the idea of, taking a single family home, converting it to 2 units, doing that forced appreciation. So again, I had to start reaching out to learn. So that's what I did. I reached out to somebody local who was doing it, very familiar with the whole process. And I had the capital to be able to get into one and qualify for the mortgage and fund the whole renovation.
Right.
So I decided to partner with them. So, I was, not really I was the passive partner, but I basically called them up. We joint ventured on that property, but with the agreement that I wanted to learn the process. So I wanted to be involved as much as possible.
Beautiful.
Yeah. He steered the ship. He had the systems in place. He did it all. But like I was there through the whole thing, just kind of documenting, because the goal was to be able to start doing these conversions on my own.
Right. Perfect. Yeah. No, that's one of the best ways to learn, right? Like you can read books and textbooks all day long, but taking action is the way to go. And one of the best ways is definitely either hiring a coach, or better yet, go partner with somebody and learn from them. And so I love that you went there with that mindset to listen, like, sure, I'm losing. I'm not sure whatever the equity is that you guys agreed on, but I'm learning so much more that now I can just go on my own and build my portfolio, no problem. Right. So now that things have shifted, right? So first of all, what does your portfolio look like right now, Mike? How many properties are you at right now?
Yeah, so right now we've got three duplexes.
Okay.
Looking to continue doing more.
Perfect.
So with that, once we did that first one, again, just through like social media and networking, like somebody had reached out and they were, super interested in the whole conversion model. They liked the idea, and again, we just started talking, and eventually, we started partnering. We partnered on a second property.
Nice.
And that was a 50-50. We went 50-50 financially.
Right.
But I managed the renovation and took care of the whole process. But again, it was, I wanted to get into these and do these to try and build that credibility of, being able to show that I can actually do it.
For sure.
Yeah. So that was the second one. And then the third property, it was the same type of JV structure as I did on my first one, where, they came in with the funds and I took care of the project.
Awesome. So it's primarily there's been just duplex conversions for you, looking for multi or for single family, converting it, right? So what are, I guess, the reasons why you stuck by where you live, right? Cambridge, Kitchener, Waterloo region, right? Why not look elsewhere? Because we've seen a huge price shift, right? Especially in those areas.
Oh, geez. Yeah, you're telling me about it.
Right? It's like, I'm sure you're feeling the pain, right? It's just like,
yes, sir.
What now? Are you now considering looking at outskirts or other areas, or what is attracting you to stay within your region and not look elsewhere? Let's put it that way.
Yep. Really just the fundamentals, like, like even last year during like COVID, and, everybody kind of got scared and was worried that, they weren't going to get rent payment.
Right.
We never had an issue. And really just with, like the diverse economy that we have here, to me is huge. Like, you've got the tech sector, like you got Google, you've got all the schools, 2 universities, college, pretty big manufacturing sector. So yeah, I think that makes a big difference with having that type of diverse economy. Where I really like just like that stable market like that, where I know that maybe I'm going to cash flow a little less. But not that I bank on appreciation, but like that's kind of the cherry on top is when you see, well, everybody's seeing it right now, the huge appreciation on the market right now, but that's kind of been stable in the KW market for quite some time.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. No, it's a fantastic region. I mean, like you said, there's universities, two, not one, two. You got the big tech giants in there, and it's grown phenomenally over the past year. I would say, like Cambridge to me used to be a city like, oh, you're gonna live in Cambridge, right? Now it's like, oh yeah, Cambridge. Price have gone up, and it feels like it's 20 minutes away, not an hour away anymore from Toronto. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Right. Yeah.
Everybody just kind of rippled and started moving further away, so they're willing to make that further drive. I think the big shift is because of working from home. I think a lot of people are now switching over, moving away from the city, right? They need a bigger space. You need office space, right? All of a sudden, two people are working from home, right? So things like that are driving the factor in those regions. But I get to my question is just I'm wondering. I mean, like, so you're still planning on sticking there? Do you still see cash flow feasible in those regions? Are there still deals you find, or you're coming across?
Yeah, it's definitely harder in this market. There's a few of us in this region that are kind of doing conversions, and the cash flow is getting tighter. So we're looking at trying to do some off market, some marketing, see if we can pick something up off market. And the shift for the time being would be to get into some flips, just because we've got the contractors and the trades that have helped us with these conversions.
Right.
So I think doing a flip in this market just kind of makes sense, where again, if you can buy it at the right price, you're going to sell for top dollar. So it's I'm not too worried. Like, I still want to stick in the region, but I'm not going to just jump on something just for the sake of getting into something. But we are focusing a little bit more on, like, my very first property, like refinancing that to, just kind of position ourselves to be ready so that when we do find that next property, we can get on it and take advantage of it.
Yeah. And then speaking of which, right? Like, so it sounds like, BRRRR, a full BRRRR is probably a little bit difficult now, right? Given the region. So how comfortable are you with leaving some money on the table? Like, what does an average deal look like?
Yep. Yeah, we're okay with that. Like in the region, like a perfect BRRRR's kind of been next to impossible. Essentially, like between the three properties, I think the most that we've left in was 90,000 into a property. So we're always getting at least our renovation money out.
Yeah.
And usually we're getting that renovation money plus some of our down payment. I believe it was my second property. I think I left about 50,000, on a property that appraised at 680.
Right.
So, and decent cash flow. It's able to, take care of any, minor issues, like it happens, even though, like, we're renovating the properties top to bottom.
Yeah.
So we typically, like that first property, like, in 2 years, I've probably had about $600 worth of things that I've had to do, like, so very, very minor repairs.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Just because we're renovating it top to bottom, but we still, like, when we run our numbers, we always put, put that percentage into our numbers and just set it aside in case we need it.
Right, capex, basically capital expenditures, like roof, big ticket items, basically. Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and then when you're doing these conversions, so are you going to basically, like you said, you're looking for properties that you're basically gutting out, or is it mainly just lipstick renovations? Are you looking for basically that big forced appreciation project? Sounds like.
Well, we've done both. So that first one, like the main floor, really it was just a light reno, paint, trim, flooring. Like, we didn't have to touch a bathroom. We did we did update the kitchen on that, but the upstairs renovation was pretty light. And typically with these conversions, like, 80% of your reno budget is all in the basement. You're always cutting it right down to the studs because you're changing the layout, to try and maximize that space in the basement.
Yeah, and how difficult is it working with the city there? Because I know city to city is a little bit different, right? Are they pretty open to working with investors, or is it a little tougher?
Yeah, no, that's like I'm from Cambridge, and I haven't done a conversion in Cambridge, uh, and there's a reason for that. Like I know many people who have done it,
Right.
but yeah, it's just a little more difficult. Like they have, like for the basement, like it can only be 40% of the total square footage. You know, like that rule, right? Where in Kitchener, they don't have that, so
Right.
I can maximize the entire space in the basement in Kitchener, and yeah, they're looking to create units, so they make the process, as streamlined as possible. So
Yeah.
like when we're calling for inspections, like the contractors call in for the inspection, they're showing up like the next day or 2 days later, and even like little things, if they come in and they see a problem and they ask to change something,
Right.
once it's changed, they're back the very next day to just come in, have a quick look, say, yeah, you're good to go. You can, you pass, you can move on to the next stage. Where, some other cities like Cambridge, for instance, I heard is just a little bit slower, right?
Yeah.
Again, it could be done. It's just, to me, that's just an added stress, where in Kitchener, they make it pretty streamlined.
Yeah, no, for sure. And for a lot of us who are new or have never done a duplex conversion, it kind of seems like a daunting task, right, to begin with, because you think, oh my goodness, like I'm buying at a high price, not especially in today's market, but obviously the deal has to be good to make sense of it. So to walk me through, so say you buy a property off the market today, right? Let's say it's about $400,000, right, a single family, and you can convert it. So what does that step look like, if you don't mind just sharing that? Like, what would you do first, second, third? What do you look out for? Walk us through how you kind of manage the property or get it up and running and convert it.
Yep. Well, and if you can find one for 400,000 now, Ross, let me know. I'll buy 10. But yeah, well, I think, yeah, you definitely want to know the steps before getting into it. It's not something that, you want to go into it blindly, because you want to be able to get in and out fairly quickly. Like typically 90 days is pretty standard to try and to get these conversions done. I know some people have done it quicker. But yeah, because like you want to be able to get in and then refinance and get a tenant as soon as possible. But yeah, like there's, it's always best, like when we're buying it, we're always checking zoning on it. So, we want to make sure it's zoned R2 or higher. We don't want to have to go and put in an application for a variance to change the zoning. That's a long drawn out process in itself, super costly. Yeah. And then just little things like parking, you want to make sure, like, does it meet the requirements? Are you going to have to change the parking for that? Is there a separate side entrance or a separate entrance to the basement? Or are you going to have to do that? And again, another costly expense. So if you can buy a property that has, this certain criteria, it's just going to reduce those expenses, right?
For sure.
So yeah, and it having the team in place is key as well. So like the contractors that we've used, like they're investors themselves,
right?
And they know the whole process. So they're really steering the ship. They know exactly what needs to be done, and we're just kind of managing that and ensuring that everything's kind of following the proper steps to get to completion.
Yeah. So drawings, for example, getting permits, is that all handled by your contractors, or are you involved in those?
I would be involved in those. So yeah, the way our contractors work, like I'll actually go and get the electrician and the plumber as well. They don't have their own electricians and plumbers that they work with, but they take care of everything else.
Right.
But yeah, I get the planner and we meet together. And basically we go through the whole house coming up with a plan.
Right.
So there was a little bit of work that I do myself.
Yeah.
But again, it's that back and forth with the contractor, just making sure that everybody's on the same page.
Yeah.
And that the project's moving along properly, right? So like one key item, like when we're buying these, we try to make the closing 60 days out. Then that actually gives us time to go ahead and submit the application and have the permit ready to go on day one. I know on one of my properties, I had a 30-day close, a pretty quick close. And it was a pretty tight timeline to get that permit. But we were able to do it, but it just gives you a little bit more time to prepare.
I love that. That's a great golden nugget right there. Absolutely. Yeah. So one of the things you can look for when you are tackling these, whether it's a duplex conversion or whatever it may be, especially if you need to get permits, definitely extend it. Try to get it further closing so that you don't buy it and you sit on it for 2 months empty, right? If it's an empty property or whatnot, especially if it's a single family, right? Like you would ideally look for an empty or vacant possession so you can do the conversions, right? It's a little bit tougher when it's if it's owner occupied, you get it, but if it's tenanted, it can be a little tough depending on whether you have to assume it or you can come up with some sort of agreement with them, right?
Yeah, no, and we've always bought it unoccupied just for that reason.
Yeah, no, it steers things in the right direction. And for your contractors, are you generally involved in buying the materials, or you just kind of leave all that to them and they take care of it all?
Yeah, they'll take care of all that. So that's kind of how we've set it up. They'll take care of all the material that's needed. Right. If there's anything that pops up that kind of deviates from the initial quote, then that's when they're contacting me and just at least letting me know, like. I remember at our last place, once we actually tore up the floor was pretty uneven. So we ended up putting on a self leveler just to kind of help give a nice flat base there for the flooring. Yeah. And it was just an added expense that we didn't anticipate. But again, there's that communication with the contractor where, he's given me his opinion. Ultimately, I make the final decision, but we kind of work together there to try and put together the best product possible. Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, and having a good contractor on your side is, I think, the toughest thing we were all going through, especially in a high demand market. It's tough to find those. So when you do find them, you got to hold on to them, right? But one of the challenges is keeping them busy, right? You may have a project once a year. They may be doing several other ones, and you can't blame them. It's a business, so they have to continuously generate and build their clientele, right? So do you find that the individuals you deal with, are they, working with multiple projects at the same time, or do they kind of dedicate a certain amount of time for you and then move on to next projects? Since they're not a general contractor, right? They're just kind of missing majority of the stuff.
Yep. Yeah. And, I'm not at that point where, I'm busy enough to keep them employed year round. I wish I was, but that'd be something that I definitely work towards. But yeah, we've got a pretty good relationship where, anytime that I'm actually, putting in offers on properties, like I'm reaching out to them and just like, hey, what's your schedule like? And, it kind of helps me with, gauging my closing. Yeah. And, them knowing that I'm, putting an offer in on property, they start kind of opening up space for me as well. So, up until now, I've never had them, not say that they can't do a project for me. So
that's good. So do you usually take them as a walkthrough initially when you do look at these properties? Is that kind of one of your methods?
No, typically I'll go through with them, once I take possession. They have come through like on a walkthrough. But yeah, I'm kind of walking through and I kind of know what to look for already. Like a couple of the things, like I mentioned, like the side entrance. Yep. Essentially, it's the ceiling height in the basement. Like, I think for any investor that's doing a conversion, we don't really care about the upstairs. We just, first thing we want to do is go to the basement. Yeah. Right? We want to go down and check that ceiling height. And if it doesn't meet that criteria, then we could pretty much stop the showing at that point, or the walkthrough.
And what is the criteria there in Kitchener?
So Kitchener, it's pretty low. Minimum height is 6'5". But around bulkheads, at bulkheads, you can actually go as low as 6'1". Okay. So it's like I'm the perfect yardstick. I'm 6'1". So if I have to duck underneath any doorways or bulkheads, then I know I got to take out my measuring tape and actually confirm.
Right. It's like awesome. Yep. Awesome. And then, given the fact that you've been invested there for some time, right? What does a typical rent look like? Let's break down in terms of what sorts of income you can expect, right? So let's just say a single family you converted more recently, what are you getting from the upstairs and downstairs? And are you separating also the the utilities, or is that kind of all in the one bill?
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. We always separate the hydro for that, so we put in separate panels, upper unit and lower unit. So the tenants are going to take care of the hydro. We take care of the gas and water. So yeah, rents right now, like our last place that we rented out, 3-bedroom upper unit, 1,900 plus hydro, and the basement unit's 1,650 plus hydro.
Wow.
So yeah, we're just we're 3,550 on rent there.
Yeah, but then that's a duplex. Wow, you can't even get that for triplexes nowadays. So it's depending on which market you're in. But yeah, so rents have gone up quite a bit, and then hence why the prices are going up at the same time, right? So
yeah, and it's actually just before this podcast, I was going back and looking at some numbers for like even the first duplex,
right,
and like I think rents on that first one were 1,700 and 1,500, and so yeah, that's 2 years. That we're at least a couple $100 more on rent.
Yeah, no, the market has gone up. So when you do place them, what kind of tenant profile do you look for? Do you generally look for families, or is it more professional working young folks? Like, what does your ideal tenant look like?
Yeah, you know what? So far, like in all our duplexes, small families or like young couples. One kid, 2 kids. All our properties got nice yards, so it's convenient for them, right? And it's a nice, comfortable space. But yeah, I think that's young couples. We have one retired couple, and kind of like that small family, just kind of starting out, trying to get their feet kind of into that housing market.
Yeah, awesome, perfect. Yeah, and then what's next for you now, Mike? So you said you're going to start doing the flipping model, right? So is that something or do you have anything on the contract right now? Are you actively looking in the market? And tell me a little bit more about that strategy and why you're looking into that. Is it more you're trying to generate some active income now that you have a lot of passive now?
Yeah, I think just the duplex conversions are becoming a little tighter here in Kitchener. So 2 years ago, like you could cash flow, $500 on a property.
Right.
And now just with, the rents aren't following the purchase prices. So yes, they have gone up, but, not kind of to that same rate. Same with the appraisals. Because I keep a pretty tight, I try and keep tabs on different markets, like some of the appraisals and duplex is selling for like in Hamilton, for instance.
Right.
I've seen some recently going in, the mid 800s.
Yeah.
Right. So it's, their ARV seems to be a little higher than what KW is right now.
Yeah.
I know we're kind of sitting in the mid 7s right now, but, I know a few people have some conversions on the go right now. So it'll be interesting to see, what their places get appraised at when they're completed. But yeah, like we're still looking at it, like, because we're, we obviously want properties that are still going to cash flow. We know that the cash flow is just going to be a little tighter now,
right.
But it's a great market where I'm okay with parking, my money in these properties and just sitting on it. I think the flip side, like for the flipping aspect, it's really just trying to, take advantage of the market. With how hot it is. Again, if you can buy right, that's the key when it comes to flipping. You have less margin of error when it comes to flipping.
For sure.
But if you can buy right, then I think flipping right now in this market can be extremely lucrative.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And especially when it's a seller's market. Yeah. You can put anything on MLS today and get it sold the next day, pretty much. So
yeah. And I just, like I mentioned earlier, like we're just trying to position ourselves with some refis to be able to be ready to buy the next property. I don't want to jump into anything that the numbers don't make sense. So
yeah, absolutely.
Then that's part of the strategy now, is just kind of be ready. We're actively looking. but just with such low inventory in the region right now, it's that in itself is a challenge.
Yeah, no, for sure. And so is your plan now to continue JVing, or you want to buy and hold and do these projects on your own now?
I'm open to both, right? Like I'm really trying to, really try and put my story out there on social. Like, it's amazing where, there's people at every level where, I'm reaching out to people above me, trying for me to take the next step. And then, there's new investors who are reaching out to me saying, hey, how did you do it? And I love the whole conversion model. Like, do you mind hopping on a call? So, like I'm going to keep moving forward, but yeah, we're open to anything, right? Like, I love the JV model. It's a great way to kind of scale. Mm-hmm. And that's what kind of, when I decided to get into the conversions and, some of these people I were following, like, that's when I quickly realized that anybody who is super successful in it isn't doing it all on their own.
Right.
And it might not be just all JV partners, because there's many people who, do it all sole ownership. Yeah. But, they have, a team in place that helps them get to that point as well. So, there's so many different ways to go about it. But yeah, I think, for me, we're open, to anything, and really help people kind of along their journey. And, I'd be more than willing to help somebody get into their first investment property as well.
Awesome. And I'm also curious. I know one of the areas in Kitchener, especially in Cambridge on Kitchener, that's picking up the market, I should say, is Airbnbs. Have you ever considered that as an option, or is that just something you're not interested in?
No, for me, not interested in that one. It's a little too active for me. Like I've, I work quite a few hours in a week, and I've got I got a job that is high demand for myself. So, I've talked to a few people who are doing Airbnbs in the area, and yeah, they're absolutely killing it. Like, it's some of the numbers are ridiculous. Like, in KW, like, Airbnbs are super popular.
Right.
It's just not something that I don't want to get that active with it. I know the whole conversion process, like, for those 90 days while we're doing the conversion, it can be busy.
Right.
But afterwards, it's, I don't want to say set it and forget it, but, it doesn't take that much work. Like, we're getting, because these places are renovated top to bottom, like,
right,
we're getting very few calls on these properties, which that's kind of what I'm more into.
Yeah. So you are self-managing these properties as well, right?
No, I even go as far as getting property manager.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, any numbers that we run, again, property management, and then, like you mentioned, CapEx all in there.
Perfect. No, so I love that you have a model pretty similar to Andrew Cox, where he just wants to cruise.
Yeah.
And that's where you put the hard work in the front, make sure everything's up and running, and then you just sit on it and let it do its thing, right? So
Yep. No, and that's I didn't want to create a second job. That's what I didn't want to get into.
Right. Yeah, I love that. I love that you're very clear on what you really want. I think one of the toughest part of our journey is we get very excited. We start hopping on, and sometimes we take on more than we can chew, and then it creates a stressful life, right? It has an impact on your relationships, and your family, and your friends, mental health, physical health, whatever it may be, because we're always constantly saying we don't have time, right? So
that's right. Yeah.
I love that you kind of broke it down to know exactly, what, I'm going to do this in this way, and what your why is and where you're heading towards, right?
Well, I think that's key is to really be clear on what you want, right? It's there are so many strategies out there. There's flipping, there's wholesaling, there's Airbnb, like, that whole shiny object syndrome. Like, it's so easy when, I was just, chatting with somebody through DM there the other day about Airbnb and KW and, like, some of the numbers, and it's like, maybe I should rethink my strategy, right? And, then you just kind of start digging a little deeper, like, what is really involved? And it's like, yeah, no, that's, it's not for me, right? So
Yeah.
I think it's clear to really know what you want.
Yeah.
And it's key to not compare yourself to others, right?
Yeah.
Like it's so easy now with social media nowadays to like, everybody's living their best life ever, right? So, and it's great to share, and I love seeing it. Like, it's super motivating to me when I see, other people succeed. Like, I want to see others succeed. Like, I love it. It pumps me up. But, at the same time, like, I know my goals and, where I want to get to. Mm-hmm. And, every day I just kind of put in a little bit of work each day just to try and get me closer to that goal. So, if somebody's out there and in, 1 year, they buy 50 properties, I love them. Like it pumps me up. And, but, I just, with my goals and my schedule, like, I just know that's not achievable. Yeah. And I'm just going to keep moving towards my goal. So I think it's key to be very clear on what you want.
And being realistic, right? That's another thing, right? Just like you said, if you're working a full-time job, you cannot be wholesaling, right? Right. You're working a 9 to 5, hours of operation are between a 9 to 5, even for wholesalers, right? They go visit during the daytime. So you have to be very clear and concise on what your goals and expectations are. And then in that case, work with someone, right? Like reach out to someone else that's in doing their business, maybe partner up with other ways. But you're absolutely right. You need to be clear on what is it that you want, and then leverage that. So with that said, I mean, what is your goal? Like, I mean, what are you trying to achieve on your end there, Mike? Like, do you have like a certain number you got to hit, or is it particularly just going with the flow and just creating more passive income for you and your family?
Yeah, it's more of a passive income thing, and it was more of just like a net worth goal.
Right.
Really just for when, when I do retire, I want to just be able to live a comfortable life.
Yeah.
So, something that, I always think about is, my parents growing up, like, we're Portuguese. My parents, came over here, didn't know the language. Mm-hmm. And, they worked hard. And, and I see that, and they instilled that work ethic in me, which I love.
Yeah.
But when I see like my mom, for instance, now in retirement, like nobody could be more frugal than her. Like she lives on a tight budget, mm-hmm. but at the same time, I don't want my retirement to look like that. Like I want to, I'm not saying that, I want to be, out of the country, have like on a beach for 6 months. So that'd be great. Hopefully I can do that. But, I just want to be able to, have fun and live a comfortable life and actually, do things that I like. So to me, that's where this is all, taken me towards, is that, when I do retire and I'm, going to live that life, I can kind of live it on my terms and be, comfortable with what I'm doing.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then that's a great goal. And at the same time, you're creating generational wealth. I mean, especially if you're going to hold on to those properties, you can pass on to your kids one day, right? I'm sure they're going to be pretty happy, right? Because of the way the market is shifting, who knows what they're going to be facing when they're ready to buy a property, right? So it's actually pretty phenomenal. And that's what I love about real estate, because it's not a, get rich quick scheme. It's a get for sure scheme. Yeah. As long as you hold on to something in long term, especially in real estate, you are going to make the money, right? One of the challenges we're facing here, I'm located here in Toronto, and I'm seeing this in the market, is investors are really panicking, right? There's so much things mm-hmm. and gossips and news going around about, vacant taxes potentially being implemented in 2022. And then, so again, it's just nothing is materialized until it's actually materialized. No, right? Nobody knows. We don't have a crystal ball here to predict these things. Point I'm trying to make is you always make your wins long term. So if there is something that's coming your way, weather the storm. It's temporarily, it's going to go back up. With that said, it's always also a good idea to also know when to pull the plug, like you were saying. So if something is appreciated really, really well, maybe it's a good time to get rid of that now, put in the market, and then deploy that money and buy 2 other properties somewhere else, right? So it's all about the strategy. Right. As well. What are some 3 books that you can recommend for people to check out or read?
First one I read it gave some really good fundamentals to the Canadian market was the one by Don Campbell, Real Estate Investing for Canadians, I believe it is.
Yeah.
And it's specific to the Canadian market. Just kind of gives you that really good fundamental base of like Canadian real estate investing.
Right.
And then after that, I love The Slight Edge. I've read that twice actually.
Amazing. I love it too.
Yeah, it's always in the back of my head, like, on days where, maybe I'm kind of just, a little down, not really into it.
Yeah.
I'm always telling myself like, come on, just move the needle just forward a little bit, right? Like just a little bit every day. And then the other one that I just finished right now and was super interesting is called Who Not How. So it's a really good perspective on, asking the question of who can help you, or who can help you do what you're looking to do, instead of how can I do what I need to do. So
That's
it's really about like trying to bring other people into your network and outsourcing.
That's awesome. No, that's fantastic. And I know we touched upon this a little bit earlier. I know we can't travel right now, but if you could travel anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Aruba. I love Aruba. It's I've only ever been there once, but yeah, like I fell in love with it. I've actually considered buying property there. I don't know if I'd ever get to that, but I'm always looking at what condos are going for there. But yeah, I'm a beach sand guy. Love the hot water or the hot weather. But yeah, if they opened everything up and I could get on a plane and fly tomorrow, it'd be Aruba.
Never been, but definitely want to check that out. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. You got to do it. It's well worth it.
That's awesome, Mike. And then, any last piece of wisdom for folks? I mean, if there was one advice you can give somebody who's looking out to start out or scale their portfolio or get started, what would that be?
I'd say pick up the phone. And like, I think what I mean by that is just, especially now where, there's no networking events, start reaching out to people. Asking questions, and really start building that fundamental base like of knowledge, so that you can build that knowledge base and be confident to take that step and actually buy that property.
Yes.
And on that note, like for me, take action is a big one.
Absolutely. Yeah. Actions speak louder than words any day. So I totally agree with you that. And for folks that want to connect with you, Mike, what's the best way to connect with you and reach out to you?
Probably Instagram and Facebook. So Instagram, it's at Mike_Paquete.
Again, thank you for reaching out.
Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. I hope you were able to get some great golden nuggets out of it. The kindest thing that you could do is share this podcast across all social media to help as many people as possible. If you like this podcast or have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram or YouTube. Thanks so much. I'll see you in the next episode. Remember, financial freedom is just a few properties away.